What's up? Welcome to the broadcast. This is Uncle D.
People wash their ass in the tub, Kamala Harris.
You would tune in to Uncle D. D's black man talk. Pull up, homie, take a seat. Don't be a shadow watcher every day. You learn something, then you earn something. Let them know and drop some money in the plate. It's getting cold, ladies, talking ratchet. There's a king here, grab your coat, zip your jacket. Keep quiet for a second, close your jaw. Turn it Spurling, this ain't Furling, know the law. Talking Constitution, pushing pins when he shootin', give him that. Masculinity, just for the record, sprinkle that. You can keep your cat, gotta cut it. Only cat he rubbing, gotta love it. I call it Molly Buddy. Gotta vote your interest, voting earns. Presidential, this is for the money that I earn. When you gon' learn, my people, that evil mixed with evil. No matter what you're doing, baby, this ain't equal. Sometimes when you're special, you get hated. The test is for the best, you're damn right, my people made it. Uncle D, Blizzard King, you've been served, gotta know this. Now, black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you've been served, get your notice now. Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you've been served, get your notice now. Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you've been served, get your notice now. Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now.
Hey man, I'll do what I do.
Somebody need to whip your ass.
Get up and whip him, Sweets.
Hey, don't be putting the money in my hand all rough.
Take your ass out here. You buy you a Floby and cut your own damn hair from now on.
Gotta watch your back, even family that's amongst you. Got a slut ass auntie and a cool ass uncle. Kinda won't front you, but let you ride the whip around the block like it's stunts. Don't do a lot of bumping. When your mama call when her ex-man jumping, all you see is feet and her ex-man stumping. That's my Uncle D, that's why the Blizzard King coming. Hot girl winter, Blizzard King summer. My we's are coming. No singing and no humming, talking we shall overcome it. Got him leaking, I'm the plumber. My nigga made Zoom look cool, yeah, you funny. What else Uncle D gotta prove more money? Overlook the tunes, if gotta shun him. Brotherhood over any woman. Cause if she play a role, then she fam, then she good. When we say brother, my sister, we mean the hood. Now homie, pop the trunk, it's been reeking just like a skunk. We can serve your knowledge and dish it just how you want. He just run his mouth and that bullshit we debunk. In a sunken place, he's sinking that drunk. He don't even drink and I tell you that drunk. My nephew told me I wanna be just like my uncle. He don't even drink and I tell you that drunk. My nephew told me I wanna be just like my uncle. Brand good, suit and tie, lawyer reppin' manhood. He don't tap dance, he overstand, he playing good. Titles don't get it, most of us getting ambushed. Mayonnaise, clam bush, buck broken, man tush. Woke up in the morning, got walk, that's on my mind. Peace can only come when you're low and order divine. I stay entwined, you keep a criminal mind. How you think I shine and stay from falling behind? He got open eyes and can't see it, he blind. You nice all the time, they tell you water is wine. Slaughter all your sons and leave your daughters behind. All she wanna do is flash that big behind. Your music is the garbage they use to take you down. You used to rap intelligent, now you rapping like clowns. My prerogative, you thinking like Bobby Brown. Rest in peace to Whitney, Christina, that's underground. Wake up years later, you been around. Water up to your neck and watching you as you drown. How you scoring touchdown again to you out of bounds? All the black men getting passports out of town. Homie pop the trunk, it's been reeking just like a skunk. We can serve your knowledge, your dishes just how you want. He just run his mouth and that shit we debunk. In the sunken place, he singing that good song. He don't even drink and I tell you that the drunk. My nephew told me I wanna be just like my uncle. He don't even drink and I tell you that the drunk. Nephew told me I wanna be just like my uncle. My Uncle D, 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 favorite uncle, Uncle D, my Uncle D, my Uncle D, my Uncle D, favorite uncle, my Uncle D, my Uncle D, my favorite uncle, Blizzard King, Uncle D, Uncle D, Uncle D, my favorite uncle, what? Uncle D, my favorite uncle, my Uncle D. My Uncle D, yeah, Uncle D.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the broadcast, man. Shout out to everybody. LJ, welcome to the new membership.
And big shout out to LJ again. He said, us, MAGA, us. Hey, man, shout out to all my people out here again. I voted for Trump. A lot of the people that follow me voted for Trump. We also got a lot of people that voted for the Democrat candidate, Kamala Harris, and a lot of people who voted independent. There's a lot of people who stayed home. I am not telling you who to vote for. I'm telling you to vote your interest. That's my story, and that's what I'm sticking to. Nevertheless, welcome to another broadcast. I am Dennis Spurling, also known as Uncle D and the Blizzard King. How many of you all have been checking out the Blizzard King channel? It's popping over there, man. The Blizzard King Reviews. That's going to be the name we settle on, man. I got a lot of good stuff going over there. Y'all make sure y'all join that channel. But look, today we're diving here on the Dennis Spurling podcast. Today we're going to dive into a conversation that I predicted years ago, one that is now unfolding before our very eyes with consequences that many failed to foresee. Okay, and when I first brought the topic up and brought it to light in the winter of 2022 in the broadcast, and then I talked about it again in June 2023 in the broadcast, I laid out a case for how the Democratic Party and the white liberals strategically positioned these black prosecutors to do the very dirty work against Donald Trump that you see him doing. It's called lawfare. These prosecutors are desperate for validation, okay, craving a pat on the head from their liberal handlers, and they were eager to please the Democratic machine and willingly walked into a trap. Now, in their pursuit of personal validation and career advancement, these individuals took on the monumental risk of targeting one of the most powerful and divisive figures in modern political history or in the landscape. And that's President-elect Donald J. Trump. And these prosecutors didn't just poke a bear, they grabbed the tiger by the tail. And now, exactly what I warned about has come to pass. As of November 2024, Donald Trump has been reelected as the 47th president of the United States, and his inauguration is set for January 20th, 2025. This is not just a political victory for Trump. It is a seismic shift in the balance of power. Many of the same people who thought they were bringing Trump to his knees are now finding themselves scrambling to escape the inevitable blowback. Take, for example, Special Counsel Jack Smith, who upon learning of Trump's victory, okay, miraculously and quickly found reason to dismiss the case the next day, citing legal technicalities and procedural hurdles. Consequently, Smith has also announced his intention to retire from the United States Attorney's Office, signaling his intent to quietly leave the stage before the full weight of political retaliation comes crashing down. Now, another notable figure, his name is Damian Williams, okay? He's a U.S. attorney, and he gained notoriety from his prosecution of New York Mayor Eric Adams and other high-profile cases going way back, including the Sean Puffy Combs prosecution, okay? Now, Williams is now willing to forego his promising career as a federal prosecutor, okay, clearly recognizing the storm that's brewing. I'm talking about hurricane-style storm, okay? And with Eric Adams now aligning himself as a political ally of Donald Trump, Williams sees the writing on the wall and has decided it's time to get out the game. But what about Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis? These two prosecutors remain steadfast in their pursuit of Trump, while others are exiting the stage. They headed out the back door. These two people continue to hold on to the tiger's tail, seemingly unaware or perhaps unwilling to acknowledge the precariousness of their position. Their determination to stay the course risk not only their careers, but also their reputation as they stand on the brink of becoming political cannon fodder. Now, what could have been promising, or should I say, what could have been a great career, an illustrious career for both Bragg and Willis, now teeter on the edge of collapse. The Democrats who once championed them have largely gone silent, leaving them isolated as the tide shifts back to Trump's favor. they become symbols of overreach, pawns in a game they can no longer control. Today's broadcast, what we're going to do today is we're going to unpack how we arrived at this point, the power dynamics, the play, and the consequences of their decisions. And we will examine how the Democrats' short-sighted strategy has backfired and why these prosecutors are now trapped in a political quagmire. Okay? Now, what we're going to do here is I have a few videos, okay? And I want you to understand what's going on. First thing, I want you to look at J.D. Vance. Shout out to my man, Jamal Smith. Thank you so much for being the third person to, well, actually, the second person to contribute to the super chat. Thank you so much. Check out J.D. Vance.
Clinton's failed presidential campaign. Is that
Listen,
correct?
fair use.
I was proud to be chief financial officer to the Clinton campaign.
Great. Chairman Gensler, is it also correct that your current enforcement director, Gerber Grewal, was most recently the Attorney General of New Jersey? A yes or no answer will suffice.
Mm-hmm.
He served his nation well, and he was Attorney General of New Jersey.
So just to recap, the Attorney General of New Jersey is the guy who refused to enforce immigration laws and cooperate with.
Now, just to establish what we're looking at, J.D. Vance is a senator. This is a Senate hearing, and this is one of Joe Biden's flunkies that he put in the Department of Justice. And he's asking them questions like, you're putting these people in office who got problems with Donald Trump. You're putting them in, you're part of the Department of Justice. You're supposed to be fair, balanced, and not have enemies and political enemies. But the people you put in charge all have a problem with Donald Trump. That's what he's saying. Listen to him. Keep in mind, J.D. Vance is a Yale-trained trial lawyer. So keep listening.
With ICE, he also launched, I believe, 8 separate investigations against Donald Trump during his time as Attorney General. Chairman Gensler, is it also correct that your recently hired General Counsel, Megan Barbero, was previously Deputy General Counsel under Nancy Pelosi and litigated 2 impeachment hearings against Donald Trump?
I believe she was Deputy General Counsel of the House of Representatives.
Great. So, and I'll also note that one of your senior enforcement counsels is married to Peter Strzok. My point here, Mr. Gensler, is that you seem to have a very troubling pattern of hiring at an impartial regulatory agency a lot of people who seem to have a vendetta against the former president. And I fear, and I
you hear that? You are hiring people that have a vendetta against Donald Trump. So getting them then to exercise lawfare against Donald Trump is not going to be a stretch. That's what he's saying. Keep listening.
worry that has implicated itself and affected the policy at the SEC. Chairman Gensler, when did the SEC take its first enforcement action against a SPAC? Do you know the exact?
Now, this guy is the chairman of the SEC. The SEC regulates the Wall Street Stock Exchange, okay, and other financial areas. But just keep listening because it's the same general principle as what we're dealing with the Department of Justice. Keep listening.
Senator, we'd have to get back to you. I don't know what decade that was.
So according to my staff's research, September of 2021 is the first time that you guys at the SEC launched enforcement action against a SPAC. So I want to recap just a few things, and then I want to ask a question. First, you were Clinton's finance director in 2016, Hillary Clinton's finance director. Second, you hired anti-Trump enforcement director Grewal in July of 2021. Third, you brought in Ms. Barbero, who was the litigator on 2 House impeachment trials against Donald Trump. You have another enforcement counsel who was married to Peter Strzok. In November of 2021, Senator Warren urged you to investigate the SPAC merger involving Donald Trump's Truth Social company. And in December of 2021...
So you see how he's laying out how the fact you're targeting Donald Trump? Why are you doing that? You know, why are all these people who don't like Donald Trump are now working for you, and now you're targeting Donald Trump? Look, where there's smoke, there's fire. Let's keep listening.
A few weeks later, you guys launched an investigation using a novel legal theory against the former president.
Novel means BS legal theory. When lawyers say novel, that means BS. I want y'all to type BS in the chat room. Keep listening. BS. And for you guys who like to use curse words, I mean, as long as YouTube doesn't ban you, it's BS. But type it out.
President's social media company. That is some coincidence, isn't it, Mr. Gensler?
Senator, it is good to meet you in person, but
don't change the subject. Good to meet you.
Not correct.
What was I not correct about there?
What was I not? Come on, tell me.
We follow
What?
the facts and the law wherever they are.
Oh,
And
really?
with regard to the SPAC field, the Special Purpose Acquisition Company field, there have been abuses, as you mentioned, one in 2018 that we found.
All right, so he's just talking crap. Let's look at this
drop
other
all
one.
charges.
Listen to this.
But
Fair
she
use.
dismissed the case without prejudice.
I want y'all to check this out. Fair use. So this is what's going on.
President-elect Trump getting a major legal victory over the federal government's cases against him. The judge in his
Now this, just laying the foundation. This is less than a week after Donald Trump was reelected. Okay, this is less than a week. Jack Smith filed a. Let's dismiss this judge. I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of this business. This is less. All this lead up. They got appeals going on, but for now, for some amazing reason, they found a reason to drop this case. Let's keep listening.
election interference case, granting special counsel Jack Smith's motion to drop all charges. But she dismissed the case without prejudice, leaving the possibility of the government to bring back the charges.
Dismiss without prejudice means they can come back after he's not president. I want y'all to keep that in mind. Do you think it's wise? Okay, do you think it's wise to allow these people to still have the power to come back and get you 4 years when you're 84 years old? If you think that's a wise decision, you would be a fool. And so that means that Donald Trump has no choice but to deal with these people when he has all the power he needs as the president of the United States to do so. These folks are going to have a problem. Let's keep listening.
Once Trump leaves office. Smith also filed a motion to dismiss his appeal in the Florida classified documents case, which Judge Eileen Cannon tossed back in July. However, Smith left the appeal intact for charges against Trump's co-defendants, valet Walt.
So they dropped all the charges against Trump, but they're still trying to hold on to the appeal against his co-Ds, all right, who are probably going to end up with a pardon anyway. Let's keep listening.
And Mar-a-Lago property manager Carlos de Oliveira. President-elect Trump reacting on Truth Social.
The property manager, like imagine you have an apartment building and the apartment manager gets in trouble. Imagine you don't even own that. You just a dude making $10, $15 an hour, and now you got a problem. Keep listening.
Calling the cases against him as empty and lawless, saying that they should never have happened in the first place. Jack Smith cost American taxpayers more than $50 million.
They spent $50 million. I mean, they just giving away money. Democrats they giving it away to illegal immigrants. They giving it away to lawyers. All that was attorney's fees and whatnot and costs and paying people to go harass Donald Trump. $50 million is what they spent on these frivolous cases that they're now just all of a sudden going to dismiss. I want you all to realize that, okay? Let's keep listening.
Trying to prosecute Trump. Joining me now is former U.S. Attorney and Prosecutor Guy Lewis. Guy, thanks very much for being here. Give us your reaction of all of these charges being dropped.
Good morning, Maria, and happy Thanksgiving to all. So Jack Smith walks in yesterday, files his motion. Without a doubt, yesterday was Jack Smith's Waterloo, his legal Waterloo. These cases are gone, and it's not a surprise, Maria, to those.
Somebody type gone in the chat room. Don't say gone. Say gone. Somebody type, all my ebonically inclined folk, type gone in the chat room.
Those of us who've been watching this carefully, because these cases, without a doubt, were built on legal quicksand, not on.
That lawyer, that former prosecutor, is saying they're built on legal quicksand. What that means, family, is that these cases were bound to fail on appeal. They were just wasting all of our time. I want you to understand that. Shout out to my man Candor. Good evening, Uncle D. They pursued him now. Their careers online. Prosecutors in 2024. They'll be at Walmart door greeters in 2025. Boy, you ugly. You ugly on the inside for that. Shout out to you. keep on listening. I want you to understand something. See, I want to lay a foundation for you all to understand, because I'm about to lead up to something, and you're gonna say, damn, you're gonna say, just roll with me for a minute. Keep
strong
listening.
Evidence, not on documents, not on witnesses, but on politics. And politics, as I've said over and over again, politics and prosecution do not mix.
It was all a game.
And it's really not fair, and it's not right for politics to be driving decision making, because it leads to all this misinformation for the American public. People don't know what to believe.
It didn't work.
Well, that's a great point, Maria. And don't expect necessarily these cases to be over completely. In my view, my prediction from today on is the investigators now are going to be investigated. Now, a lot of people would say, oh, that's.
Did you hear that? The investigators are now going to be investigated. Somebody type payback in the chat room. Somebody type revenge. And did you hear what he said? The investigators are now going to be investigated. That's what you see going on. That's what's about to happen.
It's not fair. Let's just move on. But look, Maria, when I was U.S. Attorney down here in South Florida, every decision I made on the big cases against mayors, commissioners, chiefs of police, Noriega, heads of government, they were reviewed up and down the DOJ flagpole. So my view is everything Jack Smith and his team and the FBI has done in this case is worthy of careful review.
So what you guys have to understand is all the notes, all the documents, all the evidence, everything they had on Donald Trump is now, it's got to stay there. That's government property. They can't take that away. That's a federal crime. That belongs to the people. That belongs to the government. Okay, it belongs to the people and it's held in trust by those governmental employees. They got to leave it there. They have to leave all their notes there. Okay, everybody is subject to being questioned. Okay, so now the same people that you were just trying to investigate, now they're in charge of looking at everything you were trying to keep from them. It's about to get funky. You understand me?
Judge Juan Merchan.
And you got your boy, Jack Smith, and that other lawyer, Williams, trying to get as far away from this as possible. Now, listen to this.
On postponing Trump's sentencing in the hush money trial as well, granting Trump's request to file a motion to dismiss those charges. But New York AG Alvin Bragg agreed to pause the sentencing.
Somebody type Alvin Bragg in the chat room.
Sentencing until Trump is out of office in 2029. And Georgia prosecutor Fani Willis' RICO case against Trump is also on hold after the president-elect's legal team appealed a judge's ruling.
Somebody type Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis in the chat room.
Allowing that case to proceed. The Georgia Court of Appeals is set to hear
Somebody type black prosecutors in the chat room.
Arguments on December 5th. I mean, Guy, I want to get your take on this because I spoke.
Somebody type black attorney attack dogs in the chat room.
With Kash Patel on Sunday. And there is some speculation that he, being the former chief of staff of the Defense Department, that he could be coming in to the FBI. And I asked him his reaction to Pam Bondi being named AG. Here's what he said. Watch.
One thing. Exposure of corruption. Put out the documents, put out the evidence. We
type exposed in the chat room.
Only have gotten halfway down the Russiagate hole. The people need to know that their FBI is restored by knowing full well what they did to unlawfully surveil them. The people need to know.
All right. The whole point of me showing you that, and we don't need to look at it all, is to let you know that Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis are still trying to hold on to their little funky cases. Somebody type funky in the chat room. Somebody type Gorilla Grip in the chat room. Gorilla Grip is still trying to hold on to this little funky case. Okay? That's what I want y'all to understand now. Let me tell you what happens when the rabbit got to go. Here's a story that came out a few years ago. I want you to hear what happens. See, a lot of black men have been dealing with this for years. Okay. Shout out to my man, Quantum Silence. I'm going to read this first and I'm going to continue my thought. Like I mentioned earlier, you cannot send a former, former residing president to prison. It's in the Constitution. The last president that was in jail was Ulysses S. Grant. I've already been known, and this was a distraction. Now look, family. Okay. Fani Willis and Alvin Bragg are trying to hold on to their cases. All right. Now, there's a lot of people that's been prosecuted by these two black prosecutors that a lot of us saw. You know, many of you guys saw what happened to the rapper down in Fulton County, Young Thug. The fact that case lasted for more than a year is ridiculous. Okay, and then you got that other young actor, the brother that was playing in the Marvel comics, the Marvel movies. He prosecuted because all I saw him do was run away from a white woman who was trying to smack him up. You see, that's all I saw. Okay, but he got prosecuted too, lost his career, lost everything. So we clearly see black folks getting prosecuted by police, prosecuted by prosecutors when they should not be. Now, the question you have to ask, what happens when a prosecutor prosecutes the wrong person? What happens when somebody who is in charge of making the law and in charge of enforcing the law has to deal with injustice? I want you to check this story out. Okay, listen to
the Fayette County town of Tyrone walked up to a pickup truck and heard this.
I pay my bills. Okay. I'm a state senator. I'm not stupid.
Okay. The state senator was.
So this senator got pulled over because he didn't have tags on his car. His tags was expired. Not because he was speeding. Did you pull me over because I got tags on my car? A bad old tag? Okay, whatever. They towed this man's car. That was a mistake.
Was Marty Harbin, a Republican best known for sponsoring a controversial religious freedom bill last year. He'd been pulled over by another officer for having an expired tag.
Our policy, over 30 days of expiration, we have to tow the vehicle.
Who told Harbin the truck would have to be towed away.
If you're a police officer out there and somebody says, I'm a state senator, you probably want to tread lightly. Okay, I'm just saying. I'm just saying, fam. I mean, I know some cops, you're trying to do your job, but you can't deal with people who can change when, look, let me say how I can say this. When you have somebody who can literally change the ground on which you walk, you kind of want to leave them alone. I know you guys get carried away with the Boy Scout thing and you want to do your job. I get it. I'm just saying, you got to know there's levels to this. Keep listening.
You serious with me?
Yes, sir.
They towed his car.
Within 10 seconds, the police body cam video shows Harbin promising to call the town's mayor.
I won't call Eric Dow, but I'll call the rest of them. But I pay my bills. This will not go over well.
I can tell you can talk to everybody at the department. The car's going to be impounded.
And the cop got the nerve to talk crap to the state. This is just a speeding ticket. This ain't even lawfare. I want y'all to understand. I'm just trying to explain to you how power works. And this is a real life incident. Listen to this.
And was surprised that the law allows police to impound a vehicle with an expired tag. After a few minutes and a few phone calls,
he was surprised that the law allows a vehicle to be impounded. So now you got to spend more money because it didn't have a tag. This lawmaker was shocked at that. Guess what he did?
Harbin adjusted his focus.
Because I'm going to take this and I'm going to the state and we're going to change the law.
In January, Senator Harbin introduced a bill that would allow.
We are going to change the law, and he introduced a bill that what?
Allow motorists to drive away from expired tag violations. The measure passed the Senate last week, though Harbin kept quiet about the bill's personal origin.
Did
this happen to you?
That was his response. My whole point is this. Some people you can't mess with. I know we live in America and everything is supposed to be fair and everybody's supposed to be equal, but that's not true. Some people you just don't mess with. And Donald Trump is one of those people. Read his books. The man believes in revenge. So let's take a step back, fam. Look, somebody type Alvin Bragg and Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis in the chat room. Let's go back to my original broadcast back in the winter of 2022. And now in the second time I aired it in June of 2023, when I first laid out my thoughts on this issue. Okay, I've been in this game long enough, both as a trial lawyer and a student of history, to recognize when something doesn't pass the smell test. What raised my suspicion was the deliberate use of Black prosecutors in these high-profile cases against Donald Trump. Let me explain, okay? The first thing that caught my attention was the sheer consistency of it. Think about it. In every major jurisdiction where Trump faced legal jeopardy, there was a Black prosecutor at the helm. Alvin Bragg in Manhattan, Fani Willis in Fulton County, and all the other ones, okay? Now, I don't believe in coincidences on this scale. I've been around too long and seen too much to think this was just happenstance. Shout out to my man Quantum Solace. Let me get back to what I'm talking about. See, these aren't minor roles, folks. These are career-defining positions where the stakes couldn't be higher. Yet the individuals placed in these roles were black people who historically have had to fight twice as hard to get on top in their fields, only to be thrust into the spotlight at a time when the risks are so astronomical. Why? Because they're being used as pawns in a much larger political game. Let's be real. The Democrats and their liberal allies know exactly what they're doing. They're positioning these black prosecutors as the faces of accountability, thinking it provides cover for their actions. If things go south, who's going to take the fall? Not the party elites or the liberal power brokers. It'll be the same people they elevated, these black prosecutors who will be left holding the bag when the dust settles. Shout out to my man, MC Recovery. Here's what I told you back then, and I'll say it again now. This is a classic setup. These prosecutors are being placed in an impossible position. On one hand, they're expected to go toe-to-toe with one of the most powerful men in the world, Donald Trump. On the other hand, they're being used by a system that will discard them the moment they're no longer useful. This isn't just my gut feeling. It's rooted in history. Time and time again, we've seen white supremacy weaponize black folk, using them to do their dirty work, only to toss them aside when their purpose was served. It's the same playbook, just a different era. And let me be clear. I'm not here to defend Trump or his actions. I don't know if the man's guilty or not, okay? That's not the point. The point is that this is about more than Donald Trump. It's about how the system operates and how it manipulates people for its own ends. These black prosecutors who should know better, given their education and experience, were walking into a trap. They're being positioned, and they were positioned as the front line in a battle that isn't their fight. And the Democrats, they're playing the long game. They're betting that even if these cases ultimately fall apart, which you see them happening right now, they'll have done enough to damage Trump politically. But here's the catch. Trump is a fighter, and they underestimated his willingness to fight. He was not the type that was going to go quietly into the night. He used every tool at his disposal to fight back. And when the tables turn, as they now have, what do you think happens to those black prosecutors who were the face of the effort? See, I said this back in the winter of 2022. Nobody else said it. I said it again in June of 2023. Nobody else said it. And I'm going to say it again. The blowback is coming. Okay, these black prosecutors like Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis, they literally have a tiger by the tail. Okay, and they don't know how to let go. The moment Trump starts gaining momentum again, as we now see with this re-election in November, back in November 2024, the prosecutors find themselves in an untenable position. They've made an enemy out of the most powerful man in the world. And make no mistake, Trump has the resources and the willpower and the motivation and the political power to retaliate. This isn't conjecture. It's history repeating itself. Look at what happens to people who allow themselves to be used in this way. They either become scapegoats when things go wrong or find themselves completely ostracized once their usefulness has expired. So when I look at the likes of Jack Smith stepping back and Damian Williams, and I'm going to talk about him a little later, okay? That's another black dude. He's moving to protect their career. It concerns me exactly for the reasons I said. See, they see the writing on the wall. They know that the system they thought would protect them is now ready to cut its losses. But for others like Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis, right, who are still holding on, the question becomes, how long until they realize they're fighting a losing battle? We're going to break this down further, okay? Now, in the wake of President-elect Donald Trump's historic victory, okay, right? The legal maelstrom surrounding his name has begun to dissipate. Special counsel Jack Smith. Let me see if I got a photograph of this cat for you guys, man. I don't have. You can look him up. Okay, white dude. You can look him up. I think he's on the cover here. I don't know. All right. He cited Department of Justice policy that precludes the prosecution of a sitting president. He ain't sitting yet. Why don't you wait till he gets sworn in, Jack? Jack like, nah, I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna be out of here. But anyway, he moved to dismiss both the federal election interference case and the appeal regarding the classified documents. And this dramatic shift marks the beginning of the end for a relentless campaign of lawfare that was sought to dismantle not only Trump's political career, but also his personal empire. They were trying to put that man in jail for the rest of his life. But Trump endured an unprecedented barrage of legal assault. They had this man charged with 37 felonies. I know some dudes that get charged with a misdemeanor and a felony, and they copping pleas after the first week. You understand? This man had 37 felonies, okay, ranging from impeachment to a sprawling criminal indictment, civil lawsuits. And these actions were I think we all, any of us who were involved, we recognize that it was politically motivated. It was designed to try to cripple his political campaign and destroy his reputation. J.D. Vance, right, captured the severity of this campaign when he remarked, if Donald Trump, okay, and let me pull this up. This is what he said. This is a quote from J.D. Vance, who is his vice president. I want you to look at what is, okay? If you all don't think this is real, this is what's on their mind. Let me go ahead and share this. This is what J.D. Vance, the vice president, said. And I'll try to make it a little bigger. Let me know if you guys can see this. I'll make it a little bigger so we can read together. If Donald Trump had lost the election or an election, he may very well have spent the rest of his life in prison. Now it's time to ensure what happened to President Trump never happens in this country again. What do you think they're going to do? Do you think they're just going to let this slide? Imagine being Trump's shoes. Imagine being waking up, okay, for the past several years, right? Being overshadowed by a calculated and methodical assault on your life's work. From his billion-dollar real estate empire to his very name, the name that defines his legacy. Everything Trump has built over decades under siege. See, these lawsuits weren't merely legal challenges. They were existential threats. Trump's name, which was once synonymous with luxury and power, was dragged through the mud in courtrooms and media outlets across the nation. There was just a consistent drumbeat of accusations to tarnish his global brand, putting business deals in jeopardy and threatening his financial stability. His organization, they put a gag order on him, restricted him from being able to talk about it and defend himself publicly. And he watched helplessly as his carefully constructed empire was teetering on the edge of collapse. I mean, look at the legal onslaught. This man had 5 or 6 different cases, man. Not one case, 5 or 6 different ones. And they tried to take his money. He got a $400 million judgment against him right now out of New York that's on appeal. They even target this man's children. You understand? His sons, Eric and Don Jr., were drawn in the investigations. Ivanka, his daughter, longtime confidant and advisor, they got subpoenas. These weren't just legal maneuvers. They were deeply personal attacks meant to dismantle the very fabric of Trump's family. They attacked this man's family. What would you do after somebody attacked your family? What must it feel like as a father to see your children and their futures jeopardized simply because they have your last name? Think about that. And beyond the legal threats, the man survived 2 attempted assassination attempts. One of them hit him in the head, barely missed him, hit him in the ear. This would leave most folks shaken to the core. And while the physical attacks on his life failed, the stress and psychological toll of knowing that his enemies wanted to end his life That can't be overstated. You can't look past that. And those actions underscore the desperation of those who were determined to stop him. Think about that. Look at the gag orders placed on Trump. That was the legal equivalent of silencing a roaring lion. It prevented him from publicly defending himself or addressing his supporters directly. He couldn't even say, I'm innocent, this is a trumped up trial. He couldn't say it. These people are biased. They wouldn't let him say it. They forced this man in the corner. He's fighting battles on multiple fronts while his enemies control the narrative. These restrictions were not just legal constraints. They were humiliation. They were meant to erode his confidence and his influence. That's what they did to this man. And see, now at this point, there is a necessity for retribution. See, for Trump, the path forward is clear. This unprecedented campaign of legal, political warfare has left him with no choice but to seek retribution, not just justice, but retribution, not just for himself, but for the office of the presidency and the integrity of the entire American legal system. To do nothing would be to invite further attacks in the future, potentially endangering his family and the next generation of Trumps. Now, Vice President J.D. Vance's words, it resonates deeply. It's time to ensure that what happened to President Trump never happens again in this country. Trump must take action to dismantle the mechanisms that allowed such abuse of power to flourish. This is not vengeance for vengeance sake. It's a matter of ensuring that no future president, 5 years, 10 years, 100 years from now, regardless of his political affiliation, faces the same weaponization of the legal system. Shout out to my man, Quantum Solace. The architects of this lawfare are now reckoning with his fallout. Special counsel Jack Smith, he's effectively retreated. I'm out. Somebody type, I'm out in the chat room. He trying to get cases dismissed. He's signaling that he's like he's gonna leave the department. He's not even gonna work for the public anymore. And U.S. Attorney Damian Williams, who was once involved in the case against Eric Adams, he said he's leaving his position too. He's out. Okay? But here's the problem. Not everybody is stepping back. Okay? Not everybody is stepping back. Let me show you a picture who's not stepping back. Let me show you who didn't get the memo, apparently. This cat didn't get the memo. Alvin Bragg. He didn't get the memo. Okay? He didn't get the memo. And let me show you who else didn't get the memo. Let me show you who else. This is another one that didn't get the memo. I don't know what happened. Somebody better send them a smoke signal or something. But these two didn't get the memo. Okay? All right? They holding on to their cases that are now politically and legally unattainable. And in doing so, they risk becoming cautionary tales and examples of how overreach and political zeal can destroy careers. See, these two, they now find themselves with a proverbial tiger by the tail, unwilling to let go, but knowing that the consequences of holding on too long are going to be bad. Somebody type bad in the chat room. Now, for Trump, this is not just a victory, it's a mandate to ensure that the presidency, by extension, the American people are not subject to such political motivated lawfare again. And as he prepares to take office in January 2025, the nation is watching him closely, knowing that the stakes have never been higher. Now, I want to talk about this young man. His name is Damian Williams. Now, let me give you a little history. You don't know who the hell he is. He's been quiet. But this fella right here looks real smart. Let me put his picture up over here. I want y'all to take a look at this fella right here. Okay? Let's take a look at this fella. His name is Damian Williams. You know him, but you don't know him. You know him, but you don't know him. Okay, you know him because, well, let me say it like this. You guys know Epstein? Y'all know Epstein? Right? We know Epstein, right? Well, he prosecuted Epstein's girlfriend. All right? He prosecuted Giselle Maxwell. Okay? He's also the one in charge of prosecuting Mayor Eric Adams. This young man, this brother right here, he's a U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, and he just announced his resignation. This is a black dude. He's from Jamaica. Family's from the Jamaica. All right? He went to Harvard. He's a Yale-educated lawyer. And he said, I'm out. Somebody type, I'm out. Blood clot. Somebody type blood clot. All right? Now, the thing you have to understand about the United States Southern District of New York, this is, it's the most, it's often referred to as the sovereign district because of its unparalleled independence and influence. It has long been the springboard for high-powered legal careers. People like Rudy Giuliani, Preet Bharara, they ascended to national prominence. Damian Williams now holds that position. He's a very young, accomplished attorney with a prestigious role. Okay, he voluntarily resigned from this spot. His resignation is effective on December 13, 2024. And it comes as a critical juncture as President-elect Donald Trump prepares to retake the White House in January 2025. And unlike his counterparts, Alvin Bragg in Manhattan and Fani Willis in Fulton County, Williams appears to understand the political and legal implications of continuing to pursue a high-profile case against Donald Trump or his allies. You understand? This little Jamaican dude knows it's time to dip on out. Now, see, I want you to understand something. The Southern District of New York is regarded as the elite of the elite amongst the U.S. Attorney's Office. This is not a job. It is a career pinnacle. The office has its history. It's filled with attorneys who use their time as a launching pad for judicial appointments, political careers, a private sector leader, making millions of dollars. Shout out to my man, NJ. Okay? So this young man's decision to leave, rather than weather the storm of Trump, okay, and his new justice, it suggests a recognition of the potential blowback of his actions. They know that Trump is coming for them, okay? This young man, somebody got in his ear. Somebody likes him, okay? Because he seems to have assessed the situation and decided it's time to exit the stage rather than risk his reputation, his career, and his future opportunity. Damian Williams' resignation as a U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, it could affect another case that we know about. Somebody type the diddler in the chat room. Somebody type the diddler in the chat room, okay? This lawyer right here, he's the one in charge of prosecuting Sean Puffy Combs, okay? So with President-elect Donald Trump set to appoint a new U.S. attorney, likely someone aligned with his administration who has their own priorities, there is a strong possibility that the zeal for pursuing this high-profile case against Sean Combs is going to diminish. I'm not saying it's going to go away. I'm saying Trump's administration has made it clear that it plans to overhaul the federal law enforcement agency, including the U.S. Attorney's Office, including the FBI, and to purge the Federal Bureau of Investigations that raided P. Diddy's house down in Florida and raided the one in L.A. All of those people are most likely going to be gone. Okay? So everybody who prosecuted Trump is going to be gone. Everybody who was in the FBI raid and Donald Trump, they're going to be gone. You understand me? And anybody who prosecuted him or his allies or his family is going to be gone. That's a lot of people. And this anticipated shakeup could lead to a reevaluation or even a softening of the positions taken under this man's tenure against P. Diddy. I know we talking about Trump. I'm just saying, let me just indulge because I like to give you these predictions and let you know. Nobody else is telling you this. Okay? So what's going to happen? Well, as a result, the diddler might see opportunities for reduced charges, bail adjustments, or even a dismissal of certain elements of the case. Because, see, nobody wants to come in and pick up nobody else's mess. That's like asking a chef who doesn't like you to come in and finish baking a cake that's half cooked in the oven. They might say, I'm going to take this trash and throw it out. This ain't my recipe. Somebody, shout out to my man, Funky Feather. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Am I laying this down where y'all can, putting this down where the cows can eat it? You understand what I'm saying? Let me know. Can y'all eat this? Somebody say dig that in the chat room, okay? Now, it remains to be seen how the new leadership is going to approach that Sean Combs case, but it's evident that Williams' departure marks a turning point that could alter the trajectory of the federal prosecutions, and they might see it as a frivolous lawsuit, though you never know, okay? All these trying to prosecute high-profile people, Trump didn't like it on him, he's not going to like it on other people. And see, this topic is worth exploring in greater detail, and we'll do that in a future broadcast. So what I want to get back to, though, okay, somebody will put a clap on that, okay? Now, unlike Mr. Williams, okay, unlike the prosecutor I had, Damian Williams, District Attorney Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis, they seem to be under the impression that their positions as state-level prosecutors shield them from federal consequence. Maybe because they're like the boss. You see, Mr. Williams, he's kind of like the boss, but he got a boss, okay? Bragg was elected by the Manhattan voters, so he's in the position. This is established position. He's not second to anyone. Same thing with Willis. She was reelected to Fulton County. I don't know why y'all reelected her, but whatever, okay? Maybe they feel they're secure in their local mandates. I'm not sure. They might believe that their independence and the backing of their progressive constituencies insulate them from political or legal retaliation under the Trump presidency. See, but that belief is short-sighted. See, while they operate at a state level, their cases involve federal implications, particularly the election interference charges against Trump. A federal election interference charge brought in a federal court would have jurisdiction over both of their offices, making them vulnerable to federal scrutiny and potentially investigations by the very Department of Justice they once relied on to kick them down information. So what am I saying? Okay. What I'm saying is when you look at Mr. Williams, the U.S. Attorney Damian Williams' resignation, it sends a stark message. He's a black lawyer too. So what I'm trying to explain to y'all, family, is not all these black lawyers are stupid enough to stay in there and try to prosecute Trump. This dude, the Jamaican dude, realized the jig is up, man. No, man. He not trying to go back to Kingston. You understand what I'm saying? He's not trying to do that. All right? He sees what others failed to grasp, what these other black lawyers, prosecutors failed to grasp, that Trump's administration will not hesitate to hold people accountable for what Trump and his allies perceived as politically motivated lawfare. See that the high-profile nature of Williams' cases combined with the incoming administration's determination to dismantle the mechanisms used against Trump creates an environment fraught with risk of any prosecutor associated with the case. Bragg and Willis, in contrast, they appear to be ignoring the writing on the wall. Their refusal to drop the Trump cases keeps them squarely in the crosshairs of Trump's lead Justice Department. You understand what I'm saying? While Williams, the Jamaican brother, he exits with his reputation, his career largely intact. Bragg and Willis risk not only their careers, but they also risk the possibility of being investigated, prosecuted themselves under federal statutes. You understand me? I just want you to understand that. Nobody gives up their position as the U.S. Attorney of the Southern District of New York. Okay? That is a significant moment. Okay? This is political high drama. Shout out to my man, Quantum Solace. It highlights the stakes for those involved in prosecuting the president-elect, and it underscores a calculated risk of staying in these roles. Williams' exit should serve as a cautionary tale, Brother Bragg and Miss Willis, okay, that you need not continue to pursue Donald Trump. See, the reality is clear. With Trump returning to the White House, there will be political consequences for those who participated in what many and most of us perceived as politically motivated legal campaign against him. That we see it, don't we? Mm-hmm. And this brother right here understands it. Williams understands. He sees it for what it is. Okay, they knew it. The jig is up. Now let's look at Alvin Bragg for a minute. Let's analyze the situation. I want to break the case down. All right, I want to talk about it. All right, Alvin Bragg. Here we go. Let's take a gander and let's look at this case from a legal perspective. Let's understand what we're dealing with. All right, just so we know. I want to make sure we understand what this brother is doing. Now, Alvin Bragg, as I told you, let me make him a little bigger. There he is. He boldly stepped into the national spotlight in March 2023 when he announced 34 felonies against Donald Trump. And these allegations center on alleged falsification of business records tied to hush money payments made during the 2016 election. It made history as the first criminal prosecution of the U.S. president. Okay? But the problem is, as Trump's political fortunes have rebounded and culminated in his re-election, Bragg now finds himself in an increasingly precarious position. See, the legal and political ramifications of continuing this prosecution are vast and potentially career-ending. Let's take a look. Bragg's case has always rested on a novel, somebody type BS, novel application of state law attempting to elevate a misdemeanor charge. This is a misdemeanor. By linking it to some sort of federal campaign finance violation. All the legal experts criticize this move. It's overly ambitious. And many question whether or not New York state courts even have jurisdiction over federal election laws. Now, Trump's legal team has capitalized on these weaknesses and filed motions to dismiss based on presidential immunity and other constitutional arguments. Now, if Bragg, he wants to delay the case for the duration of Trump's presidency. Okay, there's already been a ruling. The jury on these trumped up charges found him guilty. Okay, that just lets you know that a district attorney could find any damn body guilty, even on laws that he just cobbled together himself, which is something you can't do. That's a lack of due process. You can't break a law that wasn't on the book at the time you allegedly broke it. We got laws against. That's just a straight up violation of the due process clause. Okay? But what they're trying to do is say, well, we're going to hold up. We got the ruling, but we're going to hold up to sentence him until 4 years from now. So let me get this straight. You got somebody who's guilty on the books. But what you're going to do is you're going to wait 4 years until he finishes his job, and then you're going to prosecute him. What if somebody had unalived somebody and the jury found him guilty? They put you in cuffs and take you in the back. Okay? To anybody who's had anything to do with the criminal justice system, you know that doesn't make sense. Okay? So Trump's lawyers are planning to escalate the matter. Potentially, they're going to file something called a writ of mandamus. And a writ of mandamus to the appellate court is something that lawyers use to compel the trial judge to do what they're supposed to do anyway. The trial judge's name is Juan Merchan. He's from Colombia, okay? And they want to force him to issue a ruling. And even though he's an American citizen, he's Colombian, born in Colombia. And this is supposed to push the case to the appellate court. And because at this point, you can't just let it hang for 4 years. Even former prosecutors believe that the case is riddled with reversible errors that could lead to dismissal anyway. And that's why they don't want them, they don't want to issue the judgment, because then Trump could immediately appeal. And if he appeals, it's going to be over in a few weeks, a few months. Okay? And then what happens? Now your case is dismissed. You don't have that tiger by the tail anymore. All right? So what's going to be the fallout? Not only is Bragg going to be humiliated and vulnerable to legal retribution, he got a problem. And when you look at Juan Merchan's role, he's supposed to be an unbiased judge. He presided over Trump's trial, and he hasn't escaped scrutiny either. As I said earlier, he's an immigrant from Colombia, and Merchan's impartiality has been questioned due to reports that his daughter's work as a Democratic operative and allegations of bias stemming from his rulings. In other words, she benefits, but that's what they're saying. And Trump himself has publicized and criticized Merchan's, painting him as a part of a larger political vendetta. That's what the Trump is saying about the judge. Okay? Now, while Merchan has tried to maintain the appearance of neutrality, his gag order targeting Trump, that only added to the perception of unfair treatment. What are you afraid of? How are you going to tell somebody not to defend themselves? You're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, and you telling this innocent man to shut up, don't speak about the case to the public, and all these agencies to talk about him, all these different media outlets can talk about him. See, the stakes for Bragg are not just about professional. It's also about personal. See, with Trump in power, the potential of a federal retaliation looms against him. This is going to be like police fighting police. You understand me? This is police on police. But get your popcorn. Because, see, if the evidence emerges that Bragg coordinated with the Biden White House or any other federal agency in pursuing Trump, it's going to open the door for charges of election interference or conspiracy. And that's a real federal charge. That's damn near treason. You understand? That's a lot of decades in prison and Fed time. Somebody type Fed time in the chat room. In the Fed, if you get 240 months, you're going to do 240 months. So not only are we looking at a possible federal indictment, you also looking at Bragg being disbarred, in prison. Hell, you can't afford your family's going to be broke. And this is a drastic reversal of fortune for a man who sought to make history by being the first person to prosecute a former president. This is what your black behind got into, Bragg. This is a no-win scenario for you, Mr. Bragg. Okay? See, here's the problem that he's in. This is when I say having a tiger by the tail. Some of y'all say, well, why don't he just dismiss the case and just be done with it? Because, see, if he dismisses the case outright, okay, that would then rob him of any leverage that he might have over Trump. And that effectively leaves him defenseless against any potential retribution. See, some say, well, he could use the case as a bargaining chip and offer Trump a quiet resolution in exchange for leniency. You understand what I'm saying? If you just leave me alone for the next 4 years, when you get out of office, we'll just give you like time served or have you do some community service. You can go down to the local Brooklyn YMCA and do your little dance. Okay? That's what Bragg is thinking. But see, this strategy assumes that Bragg holds genuine leverage. And that's a dubious position. See, as the saying goes, holding on the tiger's tail doesn't mean you control the tiger. It only delays the moment it turns on you. See, if Bragg presses forward, the risks multiply. Not only does he face the prospect of a high-profile legal defeat, because it's going to happen. You think Trump's billion-dollar team, Elon, they got plenty of money. Elon Musk, you got that boy from Facebook going down there talking. They got plenty of money. Okay? Anybody can pay his attorney's fees. You understand? But I want you to understand, shout out to my man Quan. Are y'all following this? I hope you guys understand. This is get your popcorn, okay? See, not only does he face a legal defeat, a high-profile legal defeat, he also risks deepening his already contentious relationship with Trump and his supporters. Now, you guys remember Johnny Cochran, right? Y'all remember Johnny Cochran? You also remember Chris Darden. You remember how Johnny Cochran rolled up Chris Darden? Chris Darden ain't been right since he lost that O.J. Simpson. He ain't been right since. And him and Marcia Clark, they have not. Imagine what this brother is going to be going through. Okay? Imagine that. Imagine the L he's going to take. And see, Trump's rhetoric has made it very clear that he sees these prosecutions as a personal vendetta. And if you make it personal, he's going to make it personal. And his return to the White House likely means Bragg will be a target of retribution. And for Trump, this case is deeply personal. The gag orders, the courtroom humiliations, the sheer spectacle of being the first former president to be indicted, they've left a scar on this man. Okay? And now with the political wind shifted, Bragg and his team find themselves on the defensive. Trump's Justice Department is expected to purge the federal agencies of those involved in the prosecution against all of his allies and him too. Okay? And Bragg could become a symbolic target in them. They're going to get all the notes. Any notes, any conversations that they had, all of that is public property. All that is going to come into possession of Trump's team. So Alvin Bragg's predicament serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of politicized prosecutions. Okay? It is also a warning to you black folks out there by allowing yourselves to be crash dummies for white folks that want to use you. The higher you are, the harder you're going to fall. You understand? See, what began as a historic case now threatens to end in disaster, not only for Bragg, but for the broader legal and political establishment. The lesson is clear. Okay, when you go after the tiger, you better be sure you go after the king. You better be sure you can finish the job. Otherwise, it's a wrap. Now, we talked about Alvin Bragg. Now, what's the other hard headed? Somebody type gorilla grip in the chat room. Somebody type gorilla grip in the chat room. Somebody type gorilla grip. That's what she called herself. I didn't call her that. That's what her little boyfriend said. He had her name saved in his phone as Gorilla Grip. This has been the hottest mess I've ever seen. Gorilla Grip. That's what the boyfriend, Fani Willis' little boyfriend, called her, Gorilla Grip. Hey, that's the number he had saved in the phone. They got the text message. Isn't that just terrible? Well, anyway, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. Ambitious use of the Georgia's RICO statute to prosecute former President Donald Trump. It's devolved into a legal quagmire marred by personal scandals and procedural missteps. And when I say ambitious use, imagine a person who weighs 400 pounds saying, you know what, next week I'm gonna run a 26-mile marathon. That's ambitious. That's the type of ambition I'm talking about. Now, the case initially heralded as a bold stand against alleged election interference, but now it appears increasingly tenuous. And it raises questions about Willis's judgment and the integrity of her office. Now, Willis's decision to employ the RICO Act, a tool traditionally reserved for dismantling crime, organized crime, syndicates, you know, the 5 families. She wanted to use it against Trump and his associates. That's been widely criticized. Okay, most legal experts and any law school professor that teaches criminal procedure will tell you that applying RICO in this context stretches the statute beyond its intended purpose, likening it to using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. You understand? And the central allegation hinges on Trump's infamous request to find 11,780 votes. That's not a crime. Go find them. If they're not there, they're not there. He didn't ask you to make them up. Okay? I mean, yeah, the statement might be controversial, but it hardly constitutes the orchestrated criminal enterprise that RICO was designed to combat. Now, compounding these legal frailties are the serious allegations concerning Attorney Willis's personal conduct. And you guys remember the reports have surfaced that she had this romantic relationship with Willis, or she had it with Nathan Wade. He was a special prosecutor. He's a personal injury lawyer. And she appointed him to Trump's case. And the evidence suggested that Willis acted like some kind of sugar mama for this man, financing lifestyle and trips to Miami and Napa Valley. So he paid her. She paid him, and he took her on all these fancy trips to Miami and Napa Valley. That sounds like a kickback. You understand? Nevertheless, it raised concerns about potential misuse of public funds. And these revelations, they have tarnished Ms. Willis's reputation. And they've cast a shadow on the impartiality of the prosecution. Look, you got a Republican-controlled House of Representatives that is about to take office in Washington, D.C. They are going to be issuing subpoenas to Fani Willis as part of an investigation into the alleged misuse of federal grant funds and potential ethical violations. Because remember, they give money to Fulton County under federal subsidies and such. So they have the right to oversight to see what happens to that money. And with the subpoena power in hand, Congress is poised to delve deep into Willis's conduct, and the findings could be very, very damning, to say the least. Again, y'all, the political winds are shifting. And now she faces the very real prospect of being a target of federal inquiry. This is a prosecutor. It could lead to disbarment. It could even lead to criminal charges. They will try to put this woman in jail. Remember, there are several people who've already pleaded guilty to these charges that she charged. Y'all hear what I'm saying? So these are people who have skin on in the game, man. Nevertheless, somebody type hard-headed in the chat room. Are y'all with me? Is this boring? I'm interested. I like it. I think it's a mess. It's a hot legal mess. Okay? Is this cool? Y'all with this? Are y'all following where I'm going up in here with this, man? I just need to know. All right? Because, see, she hard-headed. Because despite all these controversies, Attorney Willis, she was reelected in 2024. But this victory may prove hollow as the legal and political pressures mount. Her insistence on pressing forward with this Trump prosecution, despite its evident weakness and the personal scandals, undermine her office's credibility and suggest a perilous miscalculation. Fani Willis's predicament serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of overzealous prosecution driven by political motivations. And by pursuing a legal dubious case under the glare of personal scandal, she's not only jeopardized her career, but also eroded the trust in the judicial system. The RICO case against Trump, it was seen as a bold move, but now it looks like a house of cards on the verge of collapse. And in this high-stakes arena of political prosecutions, holding a tiger by the tail is a dangerous game. Fani Willis's experience starkly illustrates the perils of such a strategy. As the tiger now, and I'm talking about Trump, now threatens to turn on you with potentially devastating consequences. Shout out to my man, Quantum Solace. Thank you so much. Okay? Now, we could talk about Letitia James too, because I didn't put a picture up, but I just felt the need to speak about her situation. Okay? Because she's a New York attorney, another black prosecutor propped up by these liberal Democrats. Okay? All my New York people, this woman, just like Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis, they pursued Donald Trump with a fervor. Okay? James, she's known for being outspoken, but she built her career in part on promises to prosecute Donald Trump. Okay? And now Trump is about to get back in the White House, and he knows her name. Shout out to my man, NJ. Okay? James finds herself now embroiled in a situation that mirrors the precarious legal and political circumstances faced by Bragg. Her case was built on thin ice, talking about widespread financial fraud. But the Trump organization, including the inflated property valuation, this is what they said. He inflated his property valuations down in Florida to get a loan. The banks were paid back. They were happy. They liked it. Only one mad is her. This is common practice in the real estate. Next time you sell a house, your house is worth 45. Let's say your house is worth 250,000. You say it's worth 280,000. They might put you in jail for that. Or let's say you think it's worth 400,000. Oh, that's inflated. Or you trying to put a pool in the backyard. You got a $400,000 house. You want to get a loan. You tell them it's worth 500,000. You literally might go to jail for that. That's basically what they're saying. Even if you pay the loan back. Even if the bank comes out and has a property assessor assess your house. That's what these people are saying. And this is long after the pool is paid off. There's no smoking gun of intentional fraud. Look, a valuation is inherently substantive. Who's to say the house wasn't worth $1 billion? The president used to live there. That's the president's house, Mar-a-Lago. You understand what I'm saying? So what it looks like is people like Fani Willis, Letitia James, and Alvin Bragg, they weaponize their office. It looks like they have a personal vendetta. It looks like they've been set up to do it. And you got all these public statements made by these people, and now they're being scrutinized in light of Trump's reelection. His Justice Department could investigate whether James coordinated her efforts with Fani Willis, or Alvin Bragg, or the U.S. Justice Department, or the White House. All these federal officials, political operators, they got the notes now. Okay? They got that. This could lead to interference or abuse of power, election interference, federal charge. If any connection to Biden's White House or the Democratic Party operatives is uncovered, all of them could find themselves facing a grand jury in federal court. That's what I'm talking about. This is where they at. And they can't, and look, let me say it like this. It's so many different ways to get them. Alvin Bragg, Fani Willis, Letitia James, all black prosecutors, all well-educated folk. They underestimated the potential political retribution. And these fools, these intelligent legal minds will not drop the cases. Their offices have relentlessly focused on Donald Trump. They are in politically advantageous Democratic strongholds, but that won't matter because they alienated a significant portion of the electorate and they made themselves seem partisan. If you look at the legal underpinnings of all these cases, coupled with the public nature of their antagonism toward Donald Trump, it leaves them vulnerable to accusations of prosecutorial misconduct. And now you got a Republican-controlled House of Representatives in D.C., and they've already signaled that they're going to start investigating these Democratic officials that pursued Trump. That's likely going to lead to subpoenas and inquiries. And keep in mind, they have the FBI notes. They have the Department of Justice notes. Donald Trump's people are taking over. So you can't come in there and lie. You can't come in there and lie and say, here the notes are right here. You said you wasn't at a meeting. You sent us a bill for $4,000 for the meeting. They're all holding this tiger's tail. And it's going to prove a perilous decision, one that could have lasting ramifications for all their careers. Now, the mess that these black attorneys have made for themselves, because they didn't listen to Uncle Dad. They should have listened to me back in 2022. Why? Y'all should have told them to call me. Okay, y'all enjoying yourself. I'm enjoying myself. I'm having a blast over here because it ain't me. But all these black lawyers, Bragg, Willis, and James, they have willingly positioned themselves as the faces of the relentless legal pursuit of Donald Trump. And their decisions to aggressively prosecute or investigate Trump have placed them at the front of what many see politically as motivated attacks. And now, with Trump headed back to the White House, they're going to bear the brunt of the retribution. Now, shout out to my man, new member. Thank you so much. We got 15. We got how many? We got 13 super chats. I like to get 20. That'll be plenty. Okay? So y'all come on back and help me get that. I'm going to keep talking, but if you all are enjoying this and if you're learning, if I'm making this boring stuff about the law exciting to you and you see what's going on, I mean, this is better than a football game. I mean, this is high order Shakespearean payback. This is a Greek tragedy happening right now. And I'm hoping I'm laying it out for you. Okay? But y'all make sure y'all show me some love. If you learn something. If you ain't learned something, cool. But if you're learning something, make sure you keep the super chats going. I'm talking. Now the liberals gassed these black attorneys up and hailed them as champions, okay, for how bold they were, right? They were going to jump on this high-profile case, and all that failed. That same strategy failed, and now it's turned against them with potentially devastating consequences. In a nation politically divided as the United States, these black attorneys made a mistake of underestimating the resilience of Donald Trump and his base, which increased. And by making themselves the public face of these legal battles, they have effectively painted targets on their backs. Trump's Department of Justice is almost certain to review these cases. And if any hint of improper coordination with political operatives or election interference is uncovered, these black attorneys are going to face serious legal consequences. Trump's promised to drain the swamp. Somebody type drain the swamp in the chat room. Now comes with a sharper edge. Shout out to Simon Morning. Okay. Thank you so much. We need 6 more super chats. Trump has vowed to purge the federal agencies, including the FBI and DOJ, of those he deems politically biased. And while Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis are state officials, their actions are not immune to federal scrutiny. If it is found that their cases are part of a coordinated effort to influence in elections or undermine Trump's presidency, they're going to be charged with conspiracy or election interference. It's all bad. You understand me? It's all bad. Somebody type all bad in the chat room. It's all bad. Shout out to my man, Hologram EMC. Bragg and Willis and James, Alvin Bragg, Fani Willis, Letitia James, these black lawyers have become the symbol of legal and political establishment's efforts to take down Donald Trump. Their actions are now inseparable from the broader narrative of what Trump supporters call lawfare. Somebody type lawfare in the chat room. And that's the use of legal systems to wage political battles. They didn't think they can beat them. They couldn't beat them. Shout out to my man NJ. They tried to beat him. They couldn't beat him. They couldn't beat him even with all that. Trump has a long memory. And he has a history of going after those who wronged him. He talks about it in his book, The Art of the Deal. If you can get revenge, go ahead and do it. He said that. It's in writing. These black lawyers have relentlessly pursued Trump. They issued indictments. They used gag orders. They made public spectacles of this man. They went after his children. They created a climate along with the media that almost got this man assassinated. Man, you don't think he ain't gonna forget that? Shout out to my man Haywood James. I need 3 more super chats. And here's somehow you look. It's in your face. This is the elephant in the room. There's racial undertones to this situation. These black attorneys, elevated to these prominent positions, tasked with prosecuting Trump, were hailed as symbols of progress and justice for their supporters. However, as the tide turns, they're going to be left to face the fallout by themselves. And in the eyes of Trump and his supporters, which includes many of y'all, they're not just prosecutors. They're the face of the establishment that tried to that failed to destroy him. Now, what happens if shout out to my man Quantum Solace, man. What happens if Donald Trump pursues charges against them? The optics are going to be heinous, okay? Because these very folks, Willis, James, and Bragg, they were once celebrated for standing up to Trump. They're going to become scapegoats for the legal missteps of the broader system. Their cases riddled with questionable legal theories, perceived bias. They could be used as examples of prosecutorial overreach. These lawyers are going to bear the full brunt. These attorneys underestimated the risk aligned with their careers, okay, with the pursuit of Donald Trump. They made a mistake, okay? And the bottom line is Alvin Bragg, Fani Willis, and Letitia James now find themselves on the wrong side of history. They found that they're on the losing team. They took on Donald Trump and they took a L. Okay, but see, the problem is they weren't professional. They made it personal and they made it political. Everybody who's anybody is going to be criticizing their cases, their overreach, their tactics, okay? And now they're vulnerable. They weren't like Jack Smith and Damian Williams. They should have got out the damn case. Shout out to my man Simon. Why didn't they? Why are they willing to risk their reputation and their careers and their freedom? That's what hangs in the balance. Shout out to my man Kay Woodward. Let me tell you why. To me, it defies logic why Alvin Bragg, Fani Willis, and Letitia James have not found a way to extricate themselves from these legal quagmires. One might expect experienced legal professionals to recognize the writing on the damn wall, but instead, excuse my French, they continue to pursue Donald Trump with what can only be described as hubris, ego, and arrogance. Their refusal to pivot, despite overwhelming political and legal shift, is not only a tactical failure, but it is also a profound misjudgment of the societal and political realities that govern their roles. Unfortunately, family, we live in a society where a racial hierarchy exists. And it has historically dictated who rises and who falls. Who gets left holding the bag and who gets to walk away scot-free. These black attorneys, these black prosecutors seem to have forgotten or ignored this reality. Their so-called white liberal allies and political patrons have effectively set them up for failure. Somebody typed the doulo in the chat room. Somebody typed the setup in the chat room. Somebody typed the N-word wake-up call in the chat room. These individuals who were once celebrated as trailblazers and symbols of accountability, right? When they took on Trump when he was down. Now, as a political tide shift, it's clear that their friends, somebody type friends in quote, their friends have strategically placed them in positions where they are bound to fail. And more importantly, where they will absorb the blame. It was a long shot from the get-go. Now, you guys have taken the opportunity to look up Jack Smith. Let me see if I can find Jack Smith. I want you to see what he looked like, just so we can establish the contact. Are y'all with me? Y'all, I need 2 more super chats. That'll be plenty, and that'll be plenty. Let's look up Jack Smith. I want you to see what Jack Smith looked like. Y'all know what Fani Willis looks like, right? Y'all know what she looks like. You know what Alvin Bragg looked like. They wanted to be famous, and they're famous. This is what Jack Smith looks like. Do you see the difference between Jack Smith? That's Jack Smith right there. Okay, this white fella. Okay, he's out of there. Okay? He's already shown that he understands the game. Okay? Jack Smith is going to be retired with a new job, not at the U.S. Attorney's Office. He has dismissed 37 counts, 37 felonies against Donald Trump in federal court. He is preparing to retire, okay, from the Justice Department. He's out of here. Gone. Okay? And Smith's actions reflect an understanding of when it's time to fold and when it's time to exit gracefully and when to protect oneself from political fallout. This is a stark contrast to Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis because they seem unable and unwilling to do the same. Jack Smith's retreat speaks volumes. He knows what Fani Willis and Alvin Bragg and Letitia James have failed to grasp. There is no victory in becoming the face of a failed prosecution against Donald Trump. The stakes are too high and the risks are too great. For Smith, it's better to leave quietly than the risk being the target of retribution from Trump's incoming administration. Somebody type revenge in the chat room. Somebody type payback in the chat. Somebody type the big payback in the chat room. Because Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis, they persist, clinging on to these cases that are doomed to fail and backfire. And their arrogance blinds them to the reality that their cases are not seen as victories, but as embarrassments, even within our community as Black people. Because see, Black Americans, for the most part, we view these prosecutions for what they are, something we've seen all the time. More importantly, they're distractions. They're not anything of any substance. Now, if they work, they worked, and they help your candidate win, that's cool. I know that's how some of y'all feel. Okay, but the problem is these attorneys sitting up there as Black attorneys are now becoming embarrassments. They look like they've been used as tools. They look like they've been played, trying to impress their white liberal friends in New York and LA and San Francisco and their political benefactors. Meanwhile, the white people who historically abandon their tools once they're broken, okay, because they're already moving on, leaving these Black attorneys exposed all alone. Look, when Trump's Justice Department begins its inevitable purges, Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis and Letitia James, they're going to be the first to feel the full weight of his retribution. They are uniquely positioned as the perfect scapegoats, high profile, controversial, and symbolic. Trump's, and they're not, and because of the racial society that we live in, nobody going to feel sorry for them. That's just how it is. Okay, in Trump's base, they're going to demand accountability. And these Black attorneys, as the face of the legal crusade against him, they're going to pay a heavy price. And here's the harsh truth. There's not going to be any outcry from them. And their white liberal allies, they're going fiend shock. Oh my God, he said he wasn't going to be a dictator. They're going to wash their hands of the situation and dip on out. Like you riding down Halldale, headed south in South Central LA, round about 76th Street. You know what I'm talking about? You going to hit that dip. They're going to dip on out. Shout out to my man Quantum Solace again. Okay? Now, black attorneys, meanwhile, I see that downfall is inevitable, and it's a result of hubris and failure to recognize the larger game being played. You're getting played. Alvin Bragg, you filed a motion to abate the proceedings. Okay? That's what you did. That's a mistake. You should have dismissed the case. Shouldn't have never filed it. Fani Willis, all your personal and professional bag, all your business in the street. You could have quietly dismissed these RICO charges instead of stubbornly trying to cling to a case that has already been mocked for shaky premises. RICO was designed to prosecute mobsters and organized crime, not target someone for asking them to find some damn votes. Letitia James, you continue to pursue this civil case that seems more personal and professional, leaving you open for allegations of bias and overreach. And your refusal to take a step back only deepens the perception that her case is more about grandstanding than justice. What are the lessons that we can learn? These attorneys have failed to heed the lessons of history. They do not understand that in this political and societal landscape, they are expendable. Their white counterparts, whether allies or opponents, will retreat and recalibrate and protect themselves. Jack Smith has already done so. Damian Williams, the little Jamaican boy, the black dude, is giving up one of the most prominent positions that an attorney can ever reach. He dipping on out. And then you got hard-headed Alvin Bragg, Fani Willis, and Letitia James. You remain locked in a battle that you cannot win, oblivious to the fact that you're being set up to be the fall guys. Those cases have been made infamous. They're not celebrated. They've alienated the communities. You embarrass us. You embarrass yourself on the national stage. Fani Willis, you look like everything black women don't need to be looking like. Okay? That's what you, look, the pendulum, it swings both ways. But you're going to be the ones that get crushed beneath it. This isn't bravery, it's arrogance. It will be your undoing. You're holding on to the tiger's tail, and when it turns, you have no one else to blame but yourself. That young Jamaican, Damian, he's a smart one. Maybe it's because he has a different level of awareness, self-preservation, something Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis don't have. He's a first-generation immigrant from Jamaica, raised by immigrants. Okay? Maybe he understood the precariousness of his position in the United States. I'm not trying to disparage immigrants, but it's essential to note that first-generation immigrants or those raised in immigrant households, they often possess a keen sense of their visibility and vulnerability within American society. What do I mean? They recognize the delicate balance of opportunity and risk, particularly in positions of power. Williams' decision to step down from his role, despite being at the pinnacle of a prosecutorial prestige, it speaks volumes about his ability to assess his position and protect himself. In other words, his immigrant parents know we ain't really from here. We don't have deep roots here. Might be best to get on in and get on out. But look at the contrast between them and Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis. They overestimate their standing. You Boulay. You the advisor to the king. You think a little too much of yourself, though. I'm thinking. As a foundational Black American, they seem to carry a different perspective, one rooted in a deep sense of belonging, historical struggle for equity and justice and this sense of belonging drive the FBA's push we push the envelope, don't we, family? Yes, we do. That's what separates us from them. We challenge the power structures head on in ways that demand sacrifice. Okay? But it carries an immense personal risk. And while this willingness to push boundaries has been a hallmark of foundational Black American culture and experience, it also comes with significant costs. All right? A lot of people were sacrificed during the Civil Rights Movement. A lot of people lost their lives. A lot of people lost a lot. And I don't think Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis and Letitia James realized, I don't think they fully calculated, especially Alvin Bragg and Willis. I don't really think they calculated what they're doing. See, Damian Williams, a little Jamaican dude, he stepped aside. Okay, he recognized that the storm is coming. He likely recognized his continued involvement in this high-profile case, particularly those tied to Donald Trump and his allies, will place him in the crosshairs of a reinvigorated MAGA movement. I need my 2 more super chats. Now, his departure is not just an act of prudence, but it's also an acknowledgement of the racial and political dynamics at play. He chose to protect his career, his reputation, perhaps his freedom, by exiting the stage before the tide turned completely against him. For Bragg and Willis, their insistence on pressing forward seems like bravery, but it's more like hubris. They appear blind to the fact that they're being set up. Somebody type set up in the chat room. As sacrificial lambs to appease Donald Trump and his supporters. And MAGA's thirst for retribution will not be satisfied until there are visible consequences for those who pursued Trump. And Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis, they're posed to bear that brunt of his vengeance. See, this tragedy is that one, or should I say that no one, will come to their aid when the fallout begins. White liberals who celebrated them as heroes, when they first brought these cases, they're going to abandon them without hesitation. And Black folks don't really like prosecutors. I'm going to just put that out there right now. That's why Kamala Harris didn't win. Okay? Meanwhile, and we also looking at the fact that Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis, they didn't champion the Black community. They were embarrassments to the Black community. Their figures of overreach brought unnecessary scrutiny and repercussions upon themselves. That's what they look like. Okay? In the end, Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis, they may well find themselves on the altar of sacrifice offered up to appease the MAGA movement and seeking vindication. And when the dust settles, their former supporters will have long since moved on, leaving them to contend with the ruins of their careers and reputation, wondering why they didn't see it coming. I saw it coming. Uncle D saw it coming, baby. Now, I want to read some of these super chats. Shout out to my man, Quantum Solace. He said, I'm not an attorney, but I did stay at the Holiday Inn. Even I get enough common sense not to pursue this case. They should have, he said, they should have known they were being set up from the dump. They should have known. I could tell. I told them 2 years ago. They said, I knew it. I didn't even have all the facts and I knew it. Shout out to you. Thank you so much. Kaywood, you tried to warn them. I remember your broadcast last year. I know. I tried to, and I know they see it because people tell them. Shout out to Simon Says, keep teaching the law. I will, brother. I'm glad y'all like it. I do have a knack of taking really boring subjects and hopefully humanizing them and making them real for you all. And I appreciate that knack, and I thank you all so much for contributing. Quantum Solace says again, we're literally witnessing the fall of WS in our faces to see. Without their bootlicking shields, WS is now vulnerable. Our people off. FBA is finally waking up to the madness. Shout out to you, fam. Noah Wall, very insightful. Thank you so much. Haywood James, ain't no fun when the wabbit got the gun. 93. Thank you. So I still need 2 more super chats. It'd be great if y'all give it to me. That'd be great, but it's late. I know y'all might be short. but it'd be good if you did, folks. Agreed. Hide, brinksmanship, and drama. Drain the swamp. Somebody type drain the swamp in the chat room. Thank you, NJ. Hologram EMC, they're going to be mad. They're going to be made. Yes, they are. They're going to be made examples. Yes, they are. It's got to happen. Somebody's going to have to pay the price. This is better than football. It really is, man. It's very interesting. Shout out to my man, NJ. I'm dialed in, sir, and have been following the melee. It's a hot mess. Who else we got in here? Did I say? Yeah, I got all it. Better than football. Yeah, got you. They're going to be made examples of. Yes, they are. Hybrid, thank you so much for your membership. Also, I'm dialed in. Let's see who we got here. Quantum Solid. Blizzard King. Bruh, you bringing back old memories in mind. Gorilla Grip. I bet bruh had to call his mama after experience. And now I understand his incompetence. Yeah, man. Gorilla Grip. Yeah, that's what that man, that's crazy. I don't want to talk about that too much more. Quantum, people keep saying that bruh's a felon. I keep telling the foolish he's not a felon. Trump was never sentenced in any of his cases. You have to be sentenced in order to be a felon. That is absolutely correct. You have to be sentenced in order to be a felon. So he's not a felon. He's just charged. You see, people, this whole election was about securing democratic careers. This was never about the people, all the blatant lies of breaking constitutional laws. Very true. Very true. Who else we got? Funky Fathom. Appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you too, fam. Thank you. NJ, tigers are known to be vengeful animals. Get your popcorn. Thanks for the heads up. Yes, sir. No problem, fam. Appreciate you. Quantum Solace is beautiful thing to see all these bootlegs falling by the wayside as they now have to come down off their high horses and get bread like common folk. Ain't that something? MC Recovery. Now the Trump team has the right comb. Yeah, man. Shout out to you. Quantum Solace. Trump has legitimate cases on people for defamation of character. Even silly Nancy Pelosi was on video playing out the blueprint of how they demonize the dude. She said this on TikTok. Wow, that's insane, man. Too stupid to not record it. My man Quantum Solace came through tonight. Good looking out, bro. Like I mentioned earlier, you cannot send a former or residing president to prison. It's the Constitution. The last president that went to jail was Ulysses S. Grant. I've already been known this was a distraction. Yeah, man, they poorly calculated. Good evening, Uncle D. They pursued him now. Their careers on the line. Prosecutors in 2024. They'll be at Walmart door greeters in 2025 if they're lucky. They're gonna end up in jail. Shout out to shout out from the DMV. Thank you, Jamal Smith. My man LJ, us MAGA, us, and new member. Good looking out. All right, we got. Let's see here. We got one tweet. 25 is plenty. 25 is live, baby. But remember, we had a bunch of memberships, so it's not quite 25. We need one more. I think one more, and then to do it 25. We get one more. That'll be 25 will be live. We got 24. We need one more. But anyway, look, let's talk. Y'all with me? Shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody. Thank you, everybody. I don't think I got any super chats. I don't think I got any cash apps. No cash apps came through, but that's all right. The super chats was we did pretty good. But look, listen. I ain't gonna hold y'all up. I want you to go enjoy yourself. But listen to me. All you young black professionals, okay? Especially, okay, with all the young people, everybody listen. I don't care if you're a plumber, electrician, or whatever the hell you are, okay? But if you had to go through training and whatnot to get your job, you're a professional, electrician, carpenter, lawyer, doctor, whatever. But especially people of color, especially black folks, in particular black folks. Brothers and sisters, listen carefully. Do not let yourself become the fall guy. Okay? See, validation can be intoxicating, especially when it comes from people in power who have historically used us as pawns, only to discard us when our usefulness runs out. Here's the harsh truth. The dominant society, white supremacy included, always breaks its tools when it's done with them. If you find yourself being celebrated or cheered and handed a high-profile role, ask yourself one critical question. Am I being set up to fail? If you know you are not qualified for that, ask yourself, am I being set up to fail? And that's a hard look because it requires you to look past your ego. Now take a hard look at Fani Willis and Alvin Bragg. Both of them climbed into positions of prominence armed with advanced degrees and political connections and public influence. Yet, they allowed themselves to be used as instruments by their white liberal allies to pursue cases that would never guarantee victories and were not essential to their careers. If these cases were so airtight, if they promised so much guaranteed glory, don't you know that white men and white women would have been lined up around the block to prosecute Donald Trump and his allies? See, the truth is they weren't. The fact that these cases were handed to black attorneys, black prosecutors, speaks volumes about what they were supposed, what their allies truly thought of them. The cases, that is. See, these prosecutions were ticking time bombs, and now Fani Willis and Alvin Bragg, they look like fools who willingly strapped in. They're on a rocket ship to hell. History has shown us over and over again, tools are discarded when they're no longer useful. When the hammer of retribution falls, it won't land on the white liberals who cheered him on. It will land on Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis and all the other ones that look like them. And let's be real. There won't be any outcry from black people. Black people seeing them as embarrassments, and white people will wash their hands up and be done with them. Look at the evidence emerging now. Fani Willis has been tied to meetings involving her boyfriend and Biden's White House. This fool kept notes and billed them for it. Detailed billing statements of what he did in the White House. That alone could be enough to convince a grand jury to pursue conspiracy charges. Alvin Bragg's case is riddled with reversible errors that could end up humiliating him in the appellate court, leaving him vulnerable to federal election interference charge. Their arrogance and their hubris has led them here. And now they're staring down the barrel of their own professional destruction. And for what? To prove something to people who will abandon them at the first sign of trouble? To gain validation from a system that has never been fair to us? It's a tragic waste of potential. Willis and Bragg could have been assets to the black community, to the black people. They could have used their education and power and influence to uplift our people. But instead, they volunteered to be pawns in a political game they were never meant to win. To my young black professionals, let this be a harsh lesson. If the cases were so slam dunk, they would have been handled by white men and white women because they would have been eager to claim the glory. The fact that they weren't tells you everything you need to know. Stop seeking validation from people who see you as expendable. The praise you receive today will disappear tomorrow, and you will be left to bear the consequences alone. Don't let yourself be put in a position where you lose everything. Your career, your integrity, your family, your freedom, your finance, your fortune, your life. The one that you built, the one that your ancestors fought for, whose shoulders you stand on. And for what? For a cause that doesn't truly serve you or your people? You're not a tool. You're not expendable. The only people you owe anything to is yourself, your family, and your community. If you forget that, you may end up just like Fani Willis and Alvin Bragg, standing alone, disgraced and abandoned. Learn from their mistakes. Be smarter, be better, and above all, be for your people. Don't crash out trying to prove something to a system that will never have your back. Remember, the altar of sacrifice is always waiting for the next fool. Don't let it be you. This is the Blizzard King, also known as Uncle D, Dennis Spurling. Big shout out to my man, Kanisha, and also Mr. Colbert. And as I always say at this time,
Dennis Spurling Podcast. Hit the like button, subscribe.